Hi guys, and welcome to Outdoor World Direct. Today I'm over in Denmark. I'm checking out some of the new products for 2025 from Outwell, and I thought I'd do a video to try and explain kind of the differences between their tent collections. So I'm going to go through the three air collections that they have, which are the family tents, and I'm going to go through the three collections that they have and see if I can kind of unfog some of the fog around what each range does, why they made it, the different fabrics that are used, the different features that you get the more you climb the range. The easiest way of looking at tents, I think, is good, better, best. Every single brand seems to do a good, a better and a best. Outwell are no different. So they've got three different styles. They've got the Deluxe Air Collection, which is the entry level, or it's Outwell's entry, but actually it's very feature rich for an entry level range of tents. Then you've got the Premium, which is their mid ground. That's like 150 denier, polyester fabric. And then you've got the Elite tents, which is the polycottons, which are much stronger, more durable fabrics designed for families that are out camping earlier through to later in the season. So if we start with the Deluxe Collection, this is the entry level area. Now, all these tents are the same colour, so they're all like a light shade of blue. Now, with these tents, there's 10 in this range. So there's 10 tents starting from a 2-man all the way up to an 8-man. And they typically retail anywhere between £400 and £1,200. So the one behind me is a Tennessee 5. It's a full air structure, you'll see. Some of them are a hybrid, so they're a mix of fiberglass poles and they're a mix of air design as well. Now, with this fabric, it's a 70 denier polyester, so that's a lighter weight fabric. So that's more ideal for, I would say, spring to summer camping in the UK in fair weather conditions. It's water tested to 4,000 mm, which is actually quite a high hydrostatic head. So typically, if you looked at most entry-level tents in the market, they'll be anywhere between 2,000 and 3,000 for the hydrostatic head. So for these entry levels, they're actually a lot better. They're rated to 4,000. The beauty of the lightweight fabric, with it being a 70 denier, why that might be more ideal for some people is because it's more portable. It's a smaller pack size and it weighs less. So typically, if you took the biggest tent in this range, which is the Tennessee 6+2, that would weigh 40 kilos. Now, if you looked at a polycotton tent, a similar size, it would weigh 60 kilos. So with these ranges, you're going to get a more portable, a more lightweight range of tents that are more ideal for, I would say, more fair weather summer camping. So many of the tents in the collections are kind of what I would call hybrid. They use a bit of both technologies. So with the Deluxe, if they do have a pole anywhere, it will be a fiberglass pole, not a steel pole like you would get further up the range. And then the air tubes, again, they're a simple, easy to inflate, singular inflation system. So you would inflate each beam separately. Now this one's the Monterey 5. So we've got a nice open canopy here to the front. You've got a fully sealed ground sheet inside, and then you've got quick and quiet inner tents as well. In the Deluxe Collection, you've got several free zone designs. Every tent has got pretty much standing height. So I'm outside of Tennessee at the moment. One thing you might notice as you go further into the range is the doors become more versatile. They might become bigger. This is just quite a basic, narrow entry point into this tent, but it still has that free zone design that most family campers want. So they want a nice open porch space to the front that they can enclose if the weather's bad. They also want a zoning ground sheet in the living space, and obviously darkened inners. You get all that with the Deluxe tents. It's just some of the features that you would get higher up the range aren't quite there. And the first one would be you've got a smaller door. So if you get some really good weather, obviously you can open this up like a panoramic like you can further up the range. So when you look at lots of entry-level tents on the market, there's a few areas where they cut the costs. The first would be you don't always get curtains in these areas. What's nice about Outwell, they're a premium brand, so they don't really cut too many corners. So in all the windows in the porch area, you've got covered curtains, so you can make this space private. If you look at some other brands, sometimes they don't put curtains in this area, so it's open to view all the time. So you've also got a drop-down ground sheet into each one, and they're also backed by a zip here, so that when you fully enclose the zoning ground sheet on the doors, it zips to the door and you've got a fully enclosed ground sheet. What you do get in these entry-level models is you always get toggled curtains, not zips. So you can toggle the curtain halfway, or you can obviously open it completely. In this model, you've obviously got 2 bedrooms. You've got the one to the side here, which you can remove, and then you've got the large one at the back. The bedrooms do have quick and quiet doors, so you can get in and out of the bedrooms quickly and noiselessly. So if you've got young children, it's quite ideal for not waking them up if you just want to check on them of an evening. Also, the bedrooms are darkened. They're not a blackout. They're also a regular depth. So if you have camp beds, they might need to go sideways because they're not the deepest of bedrooms. But that's quite common on most family tents, that the bedrooms aren't too deep. On some of the more premium ranges, you'll see that the bedrooms are much, much deeper and much more spacious. One final area just to talk about is mesh ventilation. So the higher up the ranges you go, you're going to get more ventilation. So with this being the entry, even though I think it's very well spec'd for entry products, you have one mesh door to the side. And what you'll find throughout this collection is typically you have a mesh door. You might not have 2, you might just have 1. Also, you should have mesh windows as well. So the mesh windows just again get lots of breathability into these sewn-in living spaces and just help mitigate the effects of condensation, which with these tents being polyester, the deluxe ones, you will find you get a bit more condensation. Typically it rises up the beam like damp, or it pools at the bottom of the beams. It doesn't mean that your tent's leaking, it's just that polyester, you have a cold evening, a cold night, it just seems to attract all the moisture out of the air, and because it's so waterproof, it can't get out. So having as much mesh in these areas as we can get is really going to help. So it's another area when you might look at other brands and they might seem cheaper. I'll guarantee they haven't probably got as much mesh and as much ventilation in them, so they're not as comfortable to live in. One last feature just to talk about when we talk about mesh ventilation, which you probably heard me harping on about a little bit. One thing with all Outwell tents, you're going to get a nice large mesh at the rear. This is to help alleviate condensation where the bedroom compartments are. So on the inside of the bedroom compartment, there'll also be like a corresponding vent. And this is just really useful because obviously most people when they sleep, they actually output quite a lot of condensation without realising it when they're camping. So if you've got 4 of you sleeping in a large family tent, you can expect up to 4 pints of water to be created overnight. So having the mesh just gets some breathability and some airflow into the tent. And as I say, even though these are entry level, you still get plenty of mesh and plenty of ventilation into the living space and sleeping spaces of the tents. So to very quickly recap the Deluxe collection, so if it's got a pole, it's going to be fiberglass, not steel. It's still got an inflatable design, but each beam has to be inflated singularly. You've got a 70 Denier polyester fabric with a 4000 rated hydrostatic head. The ground sheets are all sewn in and they all zip to the doors as well to create a fully sealed ground sheet. So we talked about good, better, best. Moving away from the Deluxe collection, we're going to take a look at the Premium Air collection. Now the Premium, as the name suggests, obviously the quality gets better. So what's changed? We've gone from the Deluxe, which was 70 Denier, we've now gone to a Ripstop 150 Denier polyester fabric. So it's much more durable, it's much stronger. If you did get a tear in it, it wouldn't go quite as far because it's got the Ripstop there to protect it. Also, with this Ripstop fabric, it's waterproof to 6000 mm. So you've gone from the Deluxe having 4000 to the Premium that's a 6000. So it's a much higher hydrostatic head, which means that when they test it, or when you're out in the natural environment, it's going to be able to cope much more with the rain and the environments that you're in. Some of the other features that you might see in Premium that you didn't get earlier on in the chain. So the first one is the more hybrid the designs, which makes the tent a little bit stronger in the wind. So at the front, most of them now have a steel pole. So the 7 tents in this collection, you're going to see a fair few of them when they're shown up on the screen have got a steel pole to the front. That's a 22mm tubular steel pole. I saw a tent tested yesterday, it was a Flagstaff 5, and the pole on the front, when they tested really high wind speed, the pole didn't move. The beams, what they'll do is they'll bounce back and forth a little bit, and they'll kind of push in, and then they'll bounce back out, but that steel pole just did not move. But obviously the beams are designed to flex, they're designed to move, so it's nothing to worry about, but just having that steel pole to the front is going to give the tent more strength and more structure. The front of the tent typically seems to get the worst battering from the weather, so having that steel pole there just solidifies it and makes it a bit stronger. So some of the other features that you would get on a Premium tent, the first one to mention, we've got webbing straps, and we've got them to the front and the rear. Again, these are typically the areas that suffer a little bit more with the wind, so putting stronger straps on them just gives the tent a bit more stability. You've also got the completely removable door So a lot of the tents, I think 5 out of 7 in the range have what we call a dual front. And this is where the front door can be completely zipped off and removed. So say you're in really nice weather conditions, you can zip these doors off, fold them away, put them back in the bag and just enjoy the sun in the open porch area. Say you've got more of a British climate where you're going to get some rain, you might want to zip the door back on and have this area fully enclosed. So either way, the premium ranges, they're much more versatile to the weather conditions because you can adapt them depending on the weather that you encounter on each camping trip. The only one in the range is the Montana 4 and Montana 6. They don't have this versatile door front. Everything else in the range does have it. So we take an internal look at the tent now. What's a bit different from what you maybe get in the Deluxe Collection? So with the premium, you're stepping up, you're getting more features. So as we mentioned, the door completely removes. The door's also got PVC and mesh windows in. So if you want some breathability into this space here, you can use the mesh here to get that, which will just get some airflow in. So it's much more versatile at the front of the tent in the porch area. Moving inside the tent, you also have quick and quiet on both doors now. So you have it on the bedroom doors and you have it here as well. Obviously the quick and quiet doors, they're also backed by a proper zip as well if you actually want to close them off for the day if you go out. So you've got noiseless entry into both the sleeping and the living spaces. Quick and quiet's really good because if you're in and out of your tent a lot during the day just to pick something up or to come in and out, it's much quicker than having to undo and do the zips up all the time, and it just closes itself automatically, so you don't need to worry about the bugs being able to get in. So it's a really useful feature to have. The next really useful feature which is embedded into the premium collection is the night light system. So this is using the hook tracks which are on the beams. They can be lit up. So essentially you can have internal night lights which are controlled by a battery pack which just goes up in the corner here. So that's a really nice little feature. Some of the other features you've got as well, this door again into this space is really versatile. You can do much more with it. It's got zips on the curtains, so you can have different formats on the window. Again, you've got mesh here and you've got a mesh side door. So you've got plenty of breathability into the living spaces of these tents. And again, the door here fully zips to the sewn in ground sheet, so you can fully seal this area from the elements if you wish. So inside the tent, some of the features that you get in this area they haven't got further down. The chain, so you've got the quick and quiet, as we mentioned, that's still on the Deluxe tents, but you've got more mesh in the bedroom. It's an ambassador bedroom, so it's a deeper bedroom, so it's 230 centimeters deep, which means you'll easily be able to get a camp bed, you'll be able to fit that lengthways. Some of the complaints or feedback that we get on the entry level tents is if you've got a larger airbed or camp beds, you have to put them sideways in the sleeping compartment. You can't go lengthways. But with these ambassador bedrooms, they're 230 centimeters deep, so they're much deeper. The other thing as well, it uses a more darkened fabric on these bedrooms, so they are darker in the morning for longer. It's not a blackout bedroom, but it has got lots of mesh, so it is very, very breathable as well. So you're not going to get the condensation buildup you might get in a blackout in a tent. The other thing as well with the mesh is if it's a cold evening, you can zip close the mesh. So there's little curtain panels behind here, they zip closed. And you notice every single bedroom, 1, 2, 3, has a mesh compartment on it, and it's got its own zip to get in and out as well. So you just get a lot more versatility and flexibility inside these premium tents. Like the zipped, it might not sound like a lot, but zipped windows, zipped inner tent dividers, they're very useful and they just make life a little bit easier. So the last range that we look at will be the classic Air TC. Now the main differences here is the fabric. So we've gone from the Deluxe, which was 70 Denier, into the premium, which was 150 Ripstop, and that's still polyester fabric. Now you've got polycotton. And what's the difference? Well, polycotton's a hybrid fabric. It's a mix of polyester, which is 65% of the build, and 35% of it is cotton. Cotton is a much nicer fabric for camping because it's malleable. It's completely versatile to what the weather's doing. On a hot day, if you walk in a polyester tent, it's going to feel really warm in there. If you walk inside a polycotton tent on a hot day, it's going to be much cooler. You're going to have much more breathability inside the tent. The flip of that, on a cold night, cotton retains heat better. So it's much more malleable to what the weather's doing, this fabric. There is disadvantages to polycotton. The first one is the weight of it. So we looked at the entry 70 Denier polyester, and that was 40 kilograms. Something like this is going to be 60, so you've got a big swing in weight. The other problem with Polycotton is it takes longer to dry. But the benefits massively outweigh the negatives. The benefits are it's quieter in the wind, whereas polyester is really, really loud in the wind. It's stronger, it's going to last longer, and it's versatile to the climate. So in the Classic Air TC collection, you get all the features and all the benefits. There's only a couple of small upgrades from what I would call the premium tents in the middle. The first one is the air tube system. Although you still have a steel pole to the front of the tent, the air tube system is now a one air system, so you can inflate the entire tent from one location on the tent. The beams still do go up individually if you want, but you can inflate it from one point, which makes pitching a lot easier on these Classic Air tents. Also, on the air design, there's cross beams as well, so it makes the tent more rigid. It makes it stronger in the wind because it's got the cross beams to secure the middle of the tent. So again, with the Classic TC, you get all the bells and whistles. So you get the straps to the front. The fabric's a lot quieter anyway. You get to move this door off if you want and have it as a dual front, so you can either take the door off or enclose it. And you get the smart air system, the one air system, should I say, which is fully inflatable from one point. Otherwise, the features and benefits are much the same as the premium area. It's just that you're paying for the polycotton fabric here, for the breathability, the comfort, and the warmth in the cooler environments. I kind of hope that helps you maybe make a choice if you're looking at a new tent and you're wondering why there's so many and what range they fit into. The easiest way I remember it is good, better, best. So the Deluxe is good. It's a 70 denier fabric. It's waterproof to 4,000 mm, so it's a really nice quality, and it's perfect for maybe the lighter weight campers or people that don't want a huge tent that's going to take all of the car. You then move into premium, which is the 150 denier Ripstop with the 6,000 mm, and then you get a few more features such as the night light and such as the removable doors to the front. The Elite, which is your best, is your TC fabric, so polycotton fabric. The disadvantages of it, it's a bit heavier, but the advantages are the fabric's quieter, it's more malleable to the weather, and it's harder wearing, it's going to last longer. So there you kind of 3 areas, good, better, best. I hope that really helps you. If you've got any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments box.